Imagine, for a moment, that inside you there exists a universe, vast, silent, ancient, and alive, not made of stars or galaxies, but of memories, emotions, instincts, dreams, and truths so deep they have never seen the light of day. This universe is not somewhere far away. It lives within you, and one of the most brilliant minds in the history of human psychology, a man named Carl Gustav Jung, spent his entire life exploring it. He did not just study it, he mapped it, he gave it names, he revealed its patterns, and he left behind a roadmap, not for perfection, not for popularity, not for external success, but for something far more powerful, self-love that cannot be broken. Now, this is not about standing in front of a mirror and repeating affirmations like, "I am enough," while your heart feels empty. That may bring a temporary spark, but real self-love, the kind that survives heartbreak, criticism, failure, and fear, is not built on words. It is built on awareness, on courage, on the willingness to look into the darkest corners of your soul and say, "I see you, I accept you, and I choose you." Carl Jung believed that every human being carries within them an invisible force, the unconscious mind, that shapes their thoughts, behaviors, relationships, and destiny. It is not just a storage room for forgotten memories. It is a living, breathing intelligence that speaks to you constantly. But most of the time, you do not listen. Have you ever felt a knot in your stomach before making a decision? A sudden wave of anxiety when someone says they love you? A deep, quiet sadness when everything in your life seems to be going well? Or perhaps the opposite. A sudden rush of excitement when you imagine doing something bold, something different, something that feels true to who you are, even if you have no logical reason to pursue it? That is not coincidence. That is your unconscious speaking. That is your inner self, your deeper self, trying to guide you. And if you ignore it long enough, it will not stay quiet. It will grow louder. It will send you dreams. It will create patterns. It will place people in your life who reflect your hidden fears, your unspoken desires, your buried wounds. And this is where we begin. Let us talk about the shadow, one of Jung's most profound and misunderstood concepts. The shadow is not evil. It is not something to be feared. It is simply the part of you that you have rejected, the emotions you were taught to suppress, the traits you were told were unacceptable, the desires you feel ashamed of, the parts of yourself that do not fit the image you want to show the world. For example, have you ever met someone who makes you inexplicably angry? Someone who always talks about their achievements, who seems to crave attention, who never stops sharing their success. You might think, "I hate that about them." But Jung would ask you, what if it is not really about them? What if, deep inside, you also want to be seen? What if you also want to celebrate your victories, to feel proud, to be acknowledged, but you were taught that wanting that is selfish, arrogant, or wrong? So instead of owning that desire, you bury it, you repress it. And then, when you see it in someone else, you react with irritation, judgment, or even hatred. That is projection, one of the most powerful mechanisms of the unconscious. Jung said that everything you love or hate in others is a mirror of your inner world. The person you are attracted to is not just attractive because of their looks or charm. You are drawn to them because they carry a quality you have disowned: confidence, freedom, passion, creativity. Something your soul remembers but your ego has forgotten. And the people who trigger you? They are holding up a mirror to your shadow. They are showing you what you have not yet integrated. Let me give you a real example. A woman from Los Angeles once told me, "I fell deeply in love with my boyfriend because he was so confident. He walked into a room like he belonged there. I admired that so much." But after a while she realized something. She wasn't in love with him. She was in love with the part of herself that she had lost. The part that believed she was worthy of space, of attention, of respect. Another man shared, "I couldn't stand my boss. He was controlling, always micromanaging, never trusted anyone. I thought he was toxic." But then he began to look inward, and he saw it. At home, he did the same thing. He controlled every detail of his relationship. He needed to be in charge because he was terrified of chaos, of not being enough. His boss was not the problem. His own unhealed fear was. This is the power of Jung's work. It does not point fingers outward. It turns the light inward. And when you begin to see your projections, something incredible happens. You stop trying to change others. You start healing yourself. Now let's pause for a moment. Take a slow, deep breath. In through your nose, out through your mouth. And ask yourself, what am I carrying that I have not yet faced? Is it anger? Is it grief? Is it the fear of being abandoned? The fear of being seen? The fear of not being good enough? You don't have to answer out loud. Just feel it. Because every emotion you have ever pushed down is still alive inside you. And until you give it space, it will continue to shape your life in ways you may not even realize. Jung called the journey of facing these hidden parts individuation, the process of becoming a whole person, not a perfect person, not a happy person all the time, but a complete person, someone who has made peace with their light and their darkness. And here is the truth. You cannot love yourself fully if you are at war with parts of yourself. Think about this. How many times have you stayed in a relationship that drained you? Not because it was abusive, but because it felt familiar. Because the way you were treated reminded you of how you were treated as a child? Or how many times have you stayed in a job that made you miserable just because it was safe? Because leaving felt like failure? Jung would say, that is not just bad luck. That is your unconscious guiding you, not toward happiness, but toward repetition, toward the known, even if it hurts. Because the mind would rather suffer in a story it knows than risk the unknown. A woman from Mexico City once told me, I stayed with my partner for 5 years, even though he made me feel small. I told myself I was being patient, that love meant sacrifice. But the truth was, I was terrified of being alone. A man from Miami said, I hated my job. I counted the minutes until 5 o'clock every day. But I stayed because I thought it was the responsible thing to do. I didn't want to disappoint my parents. These are not just stories. These are patterns. And patterns come from the unconscious. But here is the good news. Once you see the pattern, you can break it. Jung believed that the unconscious does not want to hurt you. It wants to heal you. And it will use whatever it takes to get your attention. Pain, confusion, loneliness, even breakdowns. Because a breakdown is often the beginning of a breakthrough. Have you ever had a day when everything felt like a storm? A fight with your partner, a mistake at work, a friend who let you down. And suddenly you found yourself asking, what am I doing wrong? Jung would say, you are not doing anything wrong. You are being called. You are being invited to look deeper. To ask not, why is this happening to me? But what is this trying to show me? One mother from Bogota wrote to me, when my ex left me, I thought I was worthless. I believed I would never find love again. But that pain, that emptiness, forced me to finally take care of myself. For the first time in my life, I asked, who am I without him? What do I want? What do I need? That was not a tragedy. That was a transformation. The chaos was not her enemy. It was her teacher. And this is where Jung's wisdom becomes practical. He didn't just analyze dreams and symbols. He gave people tools. One of his most powerful tools was active imagination, a way of dialoguing with the unconscious. Here's how you can use it. The next time you feel emotional chaos, instead of reacting, pause. Take out a notebook and write a letter from your shadow. Let it speak. Let it say what it has been holding inside. It might say, I am angry because you never stand up for yourself. Or, I am sad because you keep choosing people who don't see you. Or, I am afraid because you keep pretending you refine when you re-not. Don't judge it. Don't fix it. Just listen. Because when you listen to your shadow, it stops controlling you. And when you stop fighting yourself, you begin to love yourself. Now, let's talk about letting go. Another essential part of building unbreakable self-love. Jung said, "You cannot become who you are until you let go of who you were." And he also said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." So ask yourself, what are you holding on to that no longer serves you? Is it a relationship that dims your light? A job that drains your energy? A belief that you are not enough? A dream you abandoned because someone told you it was unrealistic? A woman from Cali told me, "I always wanted to write a book, but my family said it was a waste of time, so I gave up." A man from Houston said, "I dreamed of traveling the world, but my partner made me feel guilty for wanting to leave, so I stayed." Every time you silence your dream, you silence a part of your soul, and that silence becomes a wound. But here's the truth. Your dreams are not fantasies. They are messages from your deeper self. They are clues to your purpose. And when you ignore them, you lose connection with who you really are. So tonight, before you sleep, take a notebook and write this question. What dream have I forgotten? Don't overthink it. Let the first thing that comes to mind flow onto the page. It might be something small. It might be something huge. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you reconnect with that spark. Then take one small step toward it this week. Read a book on the subject. Watch a documentary. Talk to someone who is living that dream. Because self-love is not just about feeling good. It is about acting in alignment with your truth. And when you do, something magical happens. Jung called it synchronicity. Meaningful coincidences that feel like the universe is conspiring in your favor. A woman from Guadalajara told me, "I ended a toxic friendship, and within weeks, I met someone who inspired me to start my own business." A man from Tijuana said, "I left a relationship that was killing my spirit, and suddenly everything started to flow. Opportunities appeared. Peace returned." That is not luck. That is alignment. When you choose yourself, the universe responds. And this is where self-love becomes unshakable. When you realize that you are not waiting for permission, for approval, for someone to save you, you are already whole. You are already worthy. You are already enough. You don't need to earn love. You need to remember it. So let us close with this. What does unbreakable self-love look like? It looks like waking up and knowing without a doubt that you are worthy. Not because of your achievements, not because of your appearance, not because someone loves you, but because you exist. It looks like setting boundaries, even when it's hard. Saying no, even when you fear rejection. Choosing yourself, even when it means standing alone. It looks like pursuing your dreams, even if you fail. Healing your wounds, even when it hurts. And loving your shadow, not in spite of its darkness, but because it holds your greatest light. A woman from Monterrey told me, "I stopped seeking validation and started writing my blog. I've never felt more free." A man from Los Angeles said, "I cut out the drama. Now I only let people into my life who add value, who see me, who respect me." That is the life Jung wanted for us. Not a perfect life, but an authentic life. A life where you are not playing a role, not pretending, not surviving, but truly living. So take a deep breath. Close your eyes if you can, and imagine your life with this kind of self-love. How would you feel? What would you do differently? Who would you become? You don't have to have all the answers today. You just have to begin. Because the journey of self-love is not a destination. It is a daily choice, a daily return to yourself, a daily act of courage, And the most important message Carl Jung ever gave us is this: you are not broken. You are becoming. You are not lost. You are being guided by your dreams, by your pain, by your intuition, by your unconscious. And if you listen, if you face your shadow, if you let go of what no longer serves you, if you pursue your deepest desires, you will not just find self-love, you will become it.